Hello and welcome. This one is for women, it's not for men, so if you're a man watching this, you might learn something, but you should probably send it to your missus, because they might learn something. But women, please don't take this personal. I'm not trying to insult your intelligence by telling you how the women's human body works, but it's a wee bit different from men, and hopefully I can maybe clear something up or give you a better understanding of how to manage it. Alright? So let me get rid of this gum. Sorry, that was rude. Calorie deficit. So both a man and a woman were consistent in a calorie deficit of 500 calories below their maintenance calories. Every single day they would lose pretty much the same amount of fat over the same amount of time scale. 500 calories a day over 7 days is 3,500 calories a week. And in 1 pound of fat there's roughly 3,500 calories, give or take a wee smidgen, right? So we know that's how we lose fat. But when it comes to women, women have these things called hormones, and they fucking cause havoc, and you know that better than me, of course. But what makes it harder for women than men is that women's hormones are all over the place. They shift every week, they shift on a month-to-month basis due to the menstrual cycle, and that means that fat loss or the scale moving can be a lot harder for women than for men, typically. Mentally, not just physically, but also mentally as well. So again, I'll just go through it. Again, I'm not trying to insult your intelligence with you not knowing this. I'm sure you do know it, but hopefully it can give a better understanding of just how the hormonal system works. And obviously we know that there's 4 phases of that. There's the menstrual, follicular, ovulation and luteal phase each week, obviously meaning something different. Now, the menstrual phase, probably the best phase, because that's when we see a drop in estrogen and progesterone, excuse my pronunciation. This is where we see the biggest drop in water retention, and the scale will normally hit new lows at this week, right? So we know when that week is. Brilliant, we can look forward to it. The follicular phase, estrogens climb slowly. It's the most stable phase, but we can still see new lows in the scale because water retention isn't as much of a factor in this phase. The ovulation phase and the luteal phase is where it wreaks havoc. So estrogen peaks, progesterone peaks, or starts to climb anyway. Water retention, the body starts to hold on to water, preparing for something that might happen, holding on to that water, because we're going to use it as energy for what would be probably a pregnancy and all that sort of stuff. But higher water retention means that the scale is going to go up, even when we're bang on. So even when we're counting our calories, we're getting our steps, and you feel like you're doing everything right, the water retention will still throw the scale up. Alright, the luteal phase is where progesterone peaks, water retention is very common, weigh-ins will be through the roof. So your mood, your hunger and your energy will feel all over the place, as you'll know. But most from your point of view that the scale is going to be sky high, right? We understand that. But does this mean that we can't lose fat? No, certainly not. It still works in the same way. We still need to be in a calorie deficit. The most important thing to remember is just because that scale isn't moving down week to week doesn't mean you're not losing fat. It just means that you're gaining water. You're holding on to your water. You can't control these things, right? It's slightly just been masked by the water retention, especially in the ovulation and the luteal phase. So as we just keep going through, you should see new lows in the body weight, month on month as opposed to a week on week. It's dead hard at this point. Mentally, I can imagine it'd be dead hard at this point, but you just need to kind of push through the barriers that humanity has set for us being women. So here's the suggestions that personal trainers come up with in order to combat this, and it's more on the kind of mental side. If the scale's really messing with your head, weighing in week 1 for instance, and then week 2 you're fine, week 3 you're up 4 pounds, week 4 you're up 6 pounds, it's just it can really throw you off track. Fuck it, what's the point, you know? So what we could do is we could weigh on week 1 and then take an average, so we weigh multiple times in week 1 and then leave it for week 2, week 3, week 4, and then week 1 or week 5, week 1 again, we can weigh again, and we can compare multiple times that week, and we can compare that average. Alright? If you get off track during the luteal phase, due to cravings and hunger and all that sort of stuff, now what we can do is we can use that week as a wee diet break. So if we're on the ball, on the money for 3 weeks, for that 1 week of the luteal phase, we can go to our maintenance calories. What happens then? We don't lose fat that week, and that we just take that week as we're at maintenance, we're dealing with the cravings, we're not as an aggressive deficit, we can handle it a wee bit better because we're eating a wee bit more, and then we go back into the calorie deficit for the other weeks. So if your weight's staying the same during ovulation and luteal phase, interpret this as progress. So it means that you're weighing the same, even when water retention is expected to be higher. So that means if we just keep pushing through, new lows should come in the next phase, the week 1 again. I hope this helps. Please don't be offended by this. I'm just trying to help you as a woman through your fat loss phase. I'm sure you already know all this. I hope that I've not wasted 6 minutes of your time. Men, if you're still watching, I hope you learned something as well, and I hope that you can predict when that crazy hormonal week is in your household. Right, see you later. Bye bye.